T-minus 4 minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0.
Yeah. Look, black and blue lines. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lines. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, park catalyst. I think we got a hit. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lines. Yeah. Look, we got Prince Blue and Steph talking black and blue lives. Yeah. The black and blue lives. Yeah. It's Steph and blue.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? What is up? It is the Black and Blue Lives podcast. I am your host, Dr. Prince Blue, along with my host, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it, my right hand man, J Step. What's going on, Step?
What's up, brother?
Not much, man. It's just been, it's been one of those weeks where just when I thought that we was gonna come on here and have nothing really to talk about, it seems like our own backyard keeps giving us more stuff to talk about.
Right.
So for those who don't know, me and Step are we're both retired police officers with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, and just recently our current won't be anymore by the end of this year. CMPD's Chief Johnny Jennings received over $77,000 in moving expenses just to relocate to a neighboring county. Now, I asked the question, is it a justified perk of the job or a tone deaf use of public funds during the rising calls for transparency and accountability? Now, the issues with this whole thing is that records already revealed that he just received a $305,000 settlement with for retirement. And the city paid him $77,000 just to move when he was named chief. Now, for full context, I'm about to read what it says in the policy and why he thinks him, the city, and everybody else thinks that it was an okay move. Both policies state that to be eligible, hires generally must be relocating from a distance greater than 50 miles, but can qualify if the employee was hired initially in a position below department director, but subsequently promoted to department director or another covered position that is required to establish residence in the city within 6 months of promotion and maintain residence in the city while in that position. Now, for those who don't know, he literally just moved up the street. Um, and the problem with that is, I have a question: is was it really necessary? Because all this extra money, the only thing it has done is bumped up his retirement pay. Um, some reports are saying close to 9 grand with each with all these additional money that he's receiving just by the end is bumped up his retirement by that much. And
Per year.
per
Yeah.
year per year, and it's tone deaf because we got a lot of police officers that are struggling. They don't have money. They claim they don't have money for this, they don't have money for that. Police officers are out of work. Police officers have to hire attorneys for their own out of their own pocket to get benefits from a job which said that they would take care of them. So Step, I ask you, is this something, nothing, or is it something that it's just a something in another long line of bad moves and tone deaf steps, pun intended, that Jennings and CMPD and the city has made?
So I know where he lives now. He lives across from the Palisades in that area near Lake Wiley. I don't know where did he move from York County or
Yeah.
So originally, so that was put in place being because most of the time, traditionally, when you hire a new police chief, you hire from outside the agency or new head. So under the policy, he lived out of county, which technically York County, I mean, where he lives now is probably
Let me look it up.
3 miles from the York County. Like I'm not sure what part of York County lived, but I mean, because you got the Buster Boy Bridge just right down there on South Tryon.
I'm looking it up while you're talking.
Yeah. So the policy does state that they're able to get reimbursed if to move, but I think originally that policy is because they hire from out of state or out of
Correct.
and they move in and they pay the moving cost. So technically he lived outside the county. I don't know why it's a huge deal for, especially he should be under the same policy as people don't know what's the CPD's policy is 45 miles, like as a crow flies, from the LEC on 601 East Trade Street. So he's within policy, but I don't know why he gets the 77 or 77 bonus to move. Just to your point, one county over, because he's the head. I mean, I don't know. Plus, so I've heard this too. I've had a couple of people reach out to me when they saw what we were going to talk about, and they also mentioned that he gets a bonus to buy a house. I don't know if you heard any of I can't now. That's just hearsay and speculation at this point. But the rumor is I think it's like $400,000 or something to buy a new house. So I don't know if that's something we could fact check, but to me, as long as he's usually just fall under the policy as the rest of the city employees, because the city employees, they don't get bonuses to move to the city. It's not a requirement. As long as he's within that requirement, I would understand if they hired him from Richmond or even Asheville or Raleigh or one of these neighboring departments where it's to force him to move. But as long as he's within that's just wasted taxpayer money. And like you talked about, if that alone bumps it up $9,000, then that's $9,000. If he lives for 40 years, that's $9,000 a year. 9 times 40. That's a lot of money that the taxpayers are paying. So it's not just that one-time fee. I don't know how that was paid out if it goes towards a retirement, but this is something that probably needs to be looked at. And it just looks bad, the perception of it, based on the payout that he got for the feelings hurt by the city council member and some of the other perks. And remember, not only that $305,000 payout, they also added money to his gave him sick time, or there were a lot of these other benefits that he got that's also going to just raise his pension.
Yeah, and I just checked. He moved less than 30 miles. The move was less than 30 miles. So this is my thing, and I'm not a fan of people who pocket watch, but when you're dealing with taxpayers and public funds, I think we're well within our capabilities, our scope, and honestly our rights to know where our money is going, especially when you're dealing with somebody in his position that's already making a lot of money and making more money. And like I said, when police officers are struggling and then they're being told that there's no extra money and they're fighting for everything and you're just taking money. Now, this is my thing here, Step. And I've been going back and forth about it. If there was a loophole that says that I can get an extra $77,000 and move my family, would I have do it? Would I have done it? And I go back and forth with it every single time. And then my last thing that I came up on is no. And I'm going to tell you why. Because with everything else that's going on, and if I'm in that type of position, hell, we still struggle with getting free drinks from the gas stations.
Yeah,
how that looks, that perception. So imagine getting $77,000 and to move. We all know it's a pain in the ass to move. Yeah. But he was giving money to move. But I just don't understand how, when you're in that position and you're that type of leader, how you never look at optics, how you never see how something will make you look. And my thing is this: if they're giving you a car and they know you're traveling 30 miles a day or something like that, what do you care? It's the city's gas. It's the city's car. Burn the midnight oil. But to get an extra $77,000 just to move, that's crazy to me. And again, this is one of those things, Step, where the essence of the policy was well intentioned. It was like we said, if you hire somebody from Louisiana or from Raleigh or something like that, of course they can't travel 3 or 4 hours every day to work. Got it.
Yeah.
But 30 miles, like come on, like come on. That's just, I just don't understand how somebody can be so tone deaf but have that type of position. Like, how did you make it there without without any type of discernment when it comes to the people around you. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, I haven't heard anything. Like, people never talk me, hey, I went on a couple calls with Jennings, or I remember him when he was my sergeant. I haven't heard any of those stories. So I don't know how he was as a beat or as a supervisor. But all I know is that as in leadership now, just the tone deaf and him just walking around and just getting all this extra money, and how the city is just willing to do it and just give all this money away, knowing the position that you're in, knowing how big the city is, knowing how it's understaffed. You just opened a brand new northwestern division or whatever. How you gonna do that? Are you just gonna move people around? Just the tone deafness of it all. It just bothers me.
So I do know that Putney, I don't know where Putney lived prior to getting promoted to chief, but he did get like he was in David One downtown, Central Division, and he got like a condo or apartment home or one of those things. But so my understanding, I had a couple of people text me, I was reading the text but I can't, I'm going by just what they're saying, but they get the moving allowance, but they also get a housing allowance. But I'm not sure if that's accurate. So we won't go by that. But it's something that consistently the city has done for the Chiefs. And our last chief was local. The one prior to that was from Richmond. So I could see him getting it. I think that's something the city needs to look at and say, hey, if someone always it's within policy of CMPD about where they live, do we really need to give them a housing allowance and or pay the $70,000+ for them to move? I mean, I know moving is expensive, and then you have to sell your house. I mean, there has to be some logistics involved, but that's a lot of money. If you're just looking at the price of moving from 30 miles from one county over, surely to goodness it wouldn't. I mean, I don't know the size of the house. Like that moves expensive, but that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. 305, 77, 29.
Yeah.
That's some people's salary for the whole year.
Oh yeah, but just think, so just between the loss, not counting his salary, because he makes, obviously, and I'm all for this. Let's pay our officer and chief of police and everything well. But if you just look at the payouts that he's got from but they broke it down with the extra sick time and bonuses and stuff that should go towards his retirement, as well as the $305,000 payout, the $70,000+ payout. He became chief in 2020, right? So right at the end of the riots, 2020, they transitioned, and so 5 years, just that alone. I mean, that's a pretty good. And who knows what other kickbacks and benefits or stuff that they've given them that they're just keeping under hush hush. Hopefully, this investigation the state's doing will expose that or anything else. But right now, he's within policy. I think it's like you said, the optics of it is not good when you got officers out here struggling. But that's something they need to look. I mean, I think it needs to be dodged or whatever. figure out how, I mean, that's a lot of money that they shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to. The taxpayers shouldn't have to pay.
I totally agree with you. And again, like I said, it's not about pocket watching. It's about taxpaying money. It's about just having an open checkbook, and then especially after coming after with the police fund debacle or Ponzi scheme or whatever they wanted to call it. When you're hemorrhaging this much money for the top people, and your smaller people are still struggling, like it's just bad, man.
There's a transit tax that I don't know if it's getting imposed or they're gonna do. I mean, the taxes keep going up, and you look at the waste of money, and not only in the public safety sector, but the city does in general, man. And then, like we talked about the other week, where you get officers shot in the head and disabled for the rest of their life, and they don't want to take care of them. So, it basically, I guess, unless you're in the top tier, you get screwed over. And the problem is, in my opinion, the people like this chief, the last chief, I didn't have an issue with. I actually really liked him. But they sell their souls, and they don't care about. He hasn't done anything since he's been chief and I don't know about anything prior. I've never heard it. Same as you. I asked people that's been did 30 years and retired, and they're like, "Well, I don't really know him. I saw him in the elevator. He didn't have a reputation of being a good cop, because if he did, the good cops would know. The John Collinses and these people would know. Yeah, he was
Like they used to speak of Chief Putney. Like when you bring Putney, they would be like, Putney was my lieutenant, Putney was my captain, Putney was in charge of this unit, that unit.
Putney didn't play. Putney, he. But this guy, like, I mean,
I don't hear anything about him.
He just kind of, I mean, from all appearances, just kind of got by, and then ended up making up the ranks. And I can't think of anything since he's been chief that's been beneficial for the officers without having to fight tooth and nail and go against FOP.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and I got really angry. There's a news article in the Charlotte Observer last week or so about all the things that he's done and trying to be the progressive police chief or something. And they were naming Chick-fil-A and some of the stuff that is absolutely useless for officers. But it's smoke and mirrors. It makes him look good. That's all he cares about. Because if he cared about his officers, we wouldn't have had this issue with the city council member who was he was the one fighting for the officers to get the vest, and he didn't. And the chief didn't want
not the chief fighting. It's supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah. So, and remember the incident with he had a traffic vest on backwards and had to direct traffic for a minute, and he ended up raising hell and moving two lieutenants and a sergeant and everybody got moved and punished, and they wanted to know who made the meme of him, and did an interim. I mean, just like, are you kidding me? We've talked about many times on the show how many cops make fun of each other, right? That's just what we banter back and forth, and he could have really turned that into a positive thing, and he didn't. And it's just been downhill ever since. He's lost the confidence of the rank and file almost 100%. I hate the FOP didn't get enough votes. The primary vote came out that they had no confidence in him by like 75% or so. And I want to know, well, who were the 25% that said they have confidence in him? Then the people who are drinking the Kool-Aid. And then but then for the vote, it was like a week long or 4 or 5 days, and they didn't get enough people voting because you had to give and a lot of it's because people were scared because you have to give, which I get. You're right. Let's make sure that we hold the unlike our federal elections, that people get ID'd and we know who's voting and does this stuff. So you had to give your name and be a member of FOP and stuff. And a lot of people were worried that would get out. And I've had multiple officers. They were like, "Hey, I wanted to vote, but I was worried about." What happens if they subpoena the list, or, they live in fear, right? They rule. So then they wouldn't get promoted, and they, might lose their specialized positions because there's plenty. The one I just spoke about was someone made a mean and they punished, and he had to direct traffic for an hour because everybody was busy. And, he moved the captain, the lieutenants and sergeant, everybody out of the district and try to write people
Let
up.
me ask you this, Step. How does that happen and nobody blows a whistle, nobody says anything, nobody looks into it? Like, that's clear retaliation. That's clear punishment. That's clearly him being in his feelings because he had to direct traffic.
And it wasn't like he got on and said, "Hey, this is the chief of police." The closest unit was in South Division. He was in Steel Creek, way about in his neighborhood, which is out of South Carolina line almost, off South Tryon at rush hour, and everybody was on legit calls. There was an officer from South Division, which, as a crow flies, maybe 15, 20 miles, but it takes an hour to get. He didn't know it was a chief. He's like, "Hey, P 402 or whatever his P number is." So no one knew, and then he came and said the lieutenant should have came out there, and the sergeant.
And he was supposed to get in touch with a captain. "Hey, who's the supervisor on duty at so-and-so? Give me your number or go to conference." Not get on a radio and say like you normal Joe Schmo, "Hey, I'm directing traffic." Okay. Legit officers will be like, "Okay, congratulations. You're directing traffic. What do you want us to do about it?"
So that's the one law enforcement thing that I've heard him have to do that I've heard of, right? So I'm not saying that's only, but but he was in his neighborhood. PD. He probably didn't even need to direct traffic in a neighborhood for a PD only wreck. So it could have been the road, and he's like, hey, how will this look? What if it gets out? In my opinion, so I'm just speculating that, oh, I'm going to get out and direct traffic, and my neighbors will be, oh, the chief is out directing traffic. This will make me look good. And what if this gets to the media and everything? Well, that didn't work out because he was like, well, he already thought it was going to take him 10 or 15 minutes, like it did in 1990, to get an officer somewhere in the city. But everybody was tied up. They can't break away from robberies and shootings and priority one wrecks to come relieve you from your traffic detail that you got in the furthest part of the county that you could kind of get to.
It's wild, man. But we're not going to spend all our time complaining about him, because we got a lot of show to go. But just know this is just another thing in a long line of let me see, it was Stevens, Monroe, Putney, now Jennings. They got to get this hire right. That's all I'm gonna say. This next hire has to be right. It has to be. And the bad thing is that this next hire is going to be at the mercy of the city, because the city wants somebody that's aligned with them politically.
Absolutely.
Ideology. Align with their ideologies. We want to be inclusive. This is a melting pot. You got Nodi, you got all that fruit de loo and all that other shit that they want to be so damn, you got Pride downtown, you got all this other stuff and they want to just make sure that all that's inclusive. No, you just got to get this hire right. You got to get these officers back on board. You got to get these officers back loving their job, loving going to work, loving the fight for the. Right now, they're fighting for their each other, but after a while, they're going to get burnt out, and that's not going to be enough anymore. So I mean, they just got to do what they got to do, and they got to get this next hire right.
Hope so.
We'll be back after this next message. All right, so this next one is going to be near and dear to your heart, Step, because you were one of the, probably the only, you started this whole revolution in my eyes when it comes to the whole TikTok cop and, memes and stuff like that. It started with the pandemic when you would do videos, just, expressing yourself, just blowing off steam, being creative and stuff like that. And you got in trouble about that, and I'm gonna let you explain that a little bit later. But since then, from 2020 to now, there's been a whole bunch of TikTok cops, content, and all this other stuff. Cops being shown shooting basketball in the neighborhood, all that stuff. And in this instance, I remember when this went viral with these cops. Take a look. Take a look. So what you saw right there was cops kneeling, and you saw people cheering and stuff like that. Now, I have videos of cops dancing and doing all that stuff and dancing with the neighborhood and having foot chases and all that stuff. I'm going to ask you, Step, do you think that TikTok cops and social media cops, and do you think it's hurting or helping the profession?
Well, so the theory behind it was, to show the public that we're human, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's gotten way out of line, like some of the stuff they're doing. And one, I've got a real bad. I don't care if I agree with the calls or not. We have to be impartial. What if it was a Trump rally and I go and take a knee in solidarity with people would lose their shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, which I don't know if this is an immigration rally or BLM rally, but our chief did that when the 2020 riots, after we get our ass kicked. It's okay to show solidarity with the community, but the problem is we need to be impartial. So that doesn't mean we don't take a sides. So we don't take, hey, you know, because if I was in public and said, hey, I support Trump, I could get written up because I'm violating the policy.
Haven't officers been written up when they show support for Trump on their social medias?
Yeah, I've had a event for a Republican event that they wanted to honor law enforcement and pay for the meals and just do appreciation lunch for them. And people were scared to come because they were worried they would get ridden up. One, because they're Republican. If it was a Democrat thing, they wouldn't have a problem with it. But one of those Republicans, and they were worried that the department would find out and write them up under the policy. And I think well, the problem is it doesn't matter what the purpose of the policy is. That if they want to write you up for that, they will. They'll make it fit. But the policy is basically
conduct unbecoming.
Yeah, so basically, it's the policy for the politics is, hey, while you're on duty, you don't promote a candidate, you don't do this stuff, but it's to the point where people are so scared that they're worried about putting a Trump sign on their yard because their neighbors, oh, he's a cop, and complain, and it didn't matter if you're within policy. With my videos that I didn't do anything on duty; they were all off duty, and I went through the public information lieutenant who was shot beside me in 16. I went through my chain of command, my lieutenant and captain. I went through an IA sergeant. They all saw the videos. They didn't have a problem with them. So I was within policy. And at the time, we had a couple officers that were doing kind of videos on YouTube and stuff. Frunzy was doing a good one with, remember, he hugged a protester in 16. I was standing right beside him when he hugged him and was in Times Square. They had a big picture.
Oh, yeah, they loved that because it was positive.
And then they were doing videos, and they were actually we had officers doing videos on duty, like the patrol car stuff, which I wasn't doing. And they didn't have a problem with it. But all of a sudden, there's a longer story about why I feel like they targeted me because at the time, my wife was very outspoken about they threw us on the bus and talking about how city council
more retaliation.
So even when we only have, I think if I'm right, we only have 2 Republican council members, and actually one of them told me that it was 100% retaliation for Ann doing a couple of news stories about how the city threw us on the bus and not supporting us. But anyway, so but basically, so it doesn't matter if I got gnats or something flying around.
You good?
I've got it doesn't matter within your policy because I was obviously within policy. And to this day, they gave me 30 days off. I was getting ready to get promoted to lieutenant. I got kicked off the lieutenant's list because it was more than a week suspension. And they told me, well, it wasn't against policy, but if they got me under unbecoming conduct, said, well, someone could have been offended, even though no one was. But, I was doing goofy, silly videos. And they actually wrote me up for one of them and said it was so cringy that so many,
is it cringy subjective?
Well, that's what I thought. But I'm like, I've seen some cringy, but it was so cringy that it wasn't against policy. But once an officer complained, a captain complained on me, and they said since he complained, he thought it was cringy, then it was unbecoming conduct because it caused him to be
cringed
or something like it. Sound like whatever, dude. So yeah, but you have to be careful. I've seen a lot of these videos where these guys are on, it's fine if you're on your lunch break or something, but a lot of these guys, I feel like that some people are just joining the police department to get followers on TikTok, to create TikTok videos.
Look at the women. Look at the women, like uniform tighter than spandex, pants tight on their ass, and all the comments are from men saying, yeah, you can arrest me, you could do this. Like, they literally know what they're doing. And I remember when they used to cover their names and their badges. Now they don't even care anymore. So in my opinion, I think it's hurting because there's no baseline anymore. Like, people are just doing whatever they want.
It's subjective. They if they like you and you drink the Kool-Aid,
and it's positive, it's a positive perception for them, they're all for it. And when I mean positive, I'm gonna say it. You already said it. If it's Democratic, blue leaning, or if it's showing, hey, I'm not one of those type cops, they're going to support you. But Lord forbid you You wear red, or you have a MAGA hat on, or you have a MAGA sticker, or anything like that, you're going to get trouble, because the public is going to be pissed off about it.
It got so bad. I did one I thought was pretty cool, where it's on my TikTok, where I walk in, I'm like in sweatpants and a t-shirt like this, and I jump up, and when I land,
I seen that one, and then you're in your uniform, you're ready to go.
I've got like my tack gear, and I'm ready to go, and I got a donut, and it's meant to be lighthearted. I take a bite of the donut, eat cops and donuts, whatever. Well, they said, well, the video's not against policy, but I had a gun leaning against the wall in the video, which they told me could be offensive to someone if their son or daughter were shot by the police and they see the video and they see the gun in the background. It could be offensive. I'm like, what? I mean, literally, that's how they articulated "ride me up" for the video. But yeah, the video's not against policy, but you had a gun leaning against the wall. I'm like, there's guns all in my house. You know?
It's pathetic, man.
It could trigger somebody. It could upset somebody. So
it's just pathetic as hell. But like I said, in my eyes, I think the TikTok cop thing needs to it needs to be abolished for a little bit, because it's getting on my damn nerves. We'll be back after this next message.
I know. You're probably wondering what's going on. Well, I'm here to tell you. It's me, Inked, and I need you guys to head on over to ajsrantroom.com and pick up your Trifecta merch. Yes, that's right. Trifecta merch is here. It is here for our Trifecta family to show their love and support and advertise for free. Well, not technically for free. You did pay for it. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Head on over to ajsrantroom.com and pick up your Trifecta merch. We're all inclusive. If Prince can wear it, so can you. Have a good one.
Okay, and this is one people love. This segment is what would Step do? People love Step, how you break down the videos as far as tactically and how you explain how you will approach something. Well, in this call, they get a call for service from the mother. The son is acting erratic. He's having a mental health episode, and cops are inside the bedroom, and they're trying to get him to not inside the bedroom. They're inside the residence, and they're trying to get him to walk out towards them. And I'm gonna play it, and everybody pay attention. And Step, let me know if you want me to. How do you want me to do it? You want me to play it, and then you want me to pause it? Where you want me to? Oh, you want me to play the whole thing, and then you'll just get your spill. Okay. All right. So here we go.
That's up. Drop that fucking head. TJ! That's up. Drop that fucking head. Shit. County, shots fired, shots fired. Boulders, you okay? Boulders, you okay? Fuck. What happened?
All right, Step, tell me what you saw.
So, number one, how many times maybe in a shift are we in that situation? If it's, not good, if it's an apartment door inside a residence where someone's in a bedroom, because a lot of times somebody, DV, most of the time somebody gets upset, they separate, or, hey, I'm having a problem with my son or whatever. We're in close quarters. The closer you are, the less time you have to react. Action's faster than reaction. I've been in a similar situation where I had to use my firearm and shoot a big dog. The guy ended up opening the door and then tase him as a big fiasco. But you don't have a lot of time to react. So thank God the suspect only had an edged weapon. I saw this video and I was reading some comments and just people are clueless. So like the officer didn't even try to de-escalate. They went straight for their gun. I mean, what are you going to do? You have this shows you. You have seconds to identify. Not so you think you're knocking on the door. He opens the door. You identify a weapon. He comes at you. You have to draw your firearm, and it's a trap. It's mental health. The police department. Some police departments say, "Hey, we're not responding to mental health things," and then who are they going to send?
Social worker.
Yeah, and that's what's gonna happen when they have dead social workers because. But what do you do in this situation? The guys didn't break the law. He just needs mental health or whatever. But I'm going home. You come at me with a knife. I don't care if it's for you stole a pack of gum. I'm going to shoot you, right? And you have to. And it's tragic, and I feel bad for the family. And I'm not saying this person deserved to die, but at that point, you pull a knife and come at an officer, and he actually cut him. The officer that I don't know where but you see it could be the blood of the suspect, but it's a bad situation to be in. You have to do what you do. The only thing I kind of wondered, why did the secondary officer in the second body cam? You kind of want to get out of the way of fire, but he went the wrong way. And a lot of people, and I saw that in watching some videos of my shooting of some other officers that were coming up on scene. And you see in the videos, their first reaction, it is easy to do, and I'm not criticizing, but your first reaction, even as a trained police officer, is to leave, like, right? Your fight or flight kicks in, and that's why training is so important. But it appeared to be his first reaction was to run, and then it takes a second. Oh shit, I can't,
I can't run.
I got to go back. So,
chased with a knife.
And but I've seen that a lot in some of these deadly force situations, and but I mean there's nothing. It's just it's tragic. What do you do in those situations? And that's something and then the problem is you have he wasn't wanted. He didn't commit a crime. He had a mental health issue.
They start trying to mitigate the fact.
And what do they say? They take the facts and they're like, so then Crom will come in, the attorney, and be like, oh, within 3 seconds of it opened the door, they shot and killed him. Well, he leaves out the part about him coming out with a knife. They didn't de-escalate. There was no de-escalation. There was no warning. Same thing. Remember we had a few weeks ago with the South Carolina professor that he'll pick this apart. There's no warning. Mm-hmm. There was only 3 seconds between the time coming out and shooting. There was no DS. I mean, those just go. They'll make up a list of shit that is so irrelevant. That
this is my thing here, Step. My first thing was, why was the officer leaning on the entryway and tapping? Like there was no separation for the guy to come out.
Yeah.
Like that was like so lackadaisical. Like,
it was. You're right.
Come out. Like, no, first of all, if me and you are going on scene, which we have been on one of those scenes, the first thing you're saying is call him out from back here.
Yeah, no,
exactly. Get away from the door.
Yeah, because he already knows you're there.
Right.
So that's a great point. And sometimes you've got a high risk warrant. That's what we do all the time in street crimes. Is we know this guy is dangerous. We'll put 360 on the house and call him out we don't even go knock on the door. But yeah, this is a good point. And I'll tell cops all the time, you can't base your demeanor based on the severity of the call, because in my shooting and your shooting, you responded to a robbery. I was responding to a person shot, but a lot of shootings happen where, it's just a traffic stop for expired tag light. A expired tag or something stupid. Same thing. You have to be prepared mentally when you go and assume in your mind, this guy might try to hurt me. And so you have to base your approach on that. And I'm not saying you got your gun out and you're calling them out, but yeah, to your point, that was a great point that I didn't think about. It was, hey, we've done that before. You're in a hallway, you got cover and concealment. Hey, Prince, come out here and talk to me, brother. Come talk to me. See if you get a response. And then try that route. Or if you do, well, you have to think tactically in all situations. If the traffic stop or this, where are we positioned? Maybe I got cover. It doesn't mean I have my gun out going to this, but I'm ready to respond. I've got a little bit of distance and maybe some cover concealment while you knock on the door, and you have a clear avenue of escape, and we're not putting each other in a crossfire. But every call you go to, it doesn't matter. I've seen a lot of officers get killed for civil summons, for worthless check warrant, or stuff they go in like
just checking, having a check for service.
They just or evictions. They go to evict somebody, but trespass. We had an officer in Mecklenburg County with the sheriff's department. He got killed. The guy was stealing crab legs from Food Line.
Blew his brains out. I remember that.
Yeah, the Camden Standstill in like 97, 98. for misdemeanor larceny. So you don't know, but you have to be mentally prepared and tactically ready for response. You shouldn't, and it shows me that officer wasn't, and you're never expecting someone to run out with a knife or shoot you, but you have to be ready for it. You have to be mentally prepared and assume that. And then, so when it happens, you're not running the other way and have to catch yourself or put yourself in a crossfire situation. Because if that guy had a gun, it would have been a different scenario. And if the officer didn't backpedal, we all fall down when you backpedal. I did it. He did it. And what are you going to do? You're dead or severely injured. So,
yeah, that one was tough to watch, but hopefully people understand that once again, there is no de-escalation when it's a deadly force situation. That it is what it is, and you can start getting out all the pictures of when they were sweethearts in high school. I mean, in middle school, and they were impersonators and all that stuff. Right now, they are a knife wielding maniac, and they have to get put down. That's just the bottom line. So shout out to those officers. It's a learning experience, it's a learning tool, and we'll be back after this next message. All right, this next clip is, Step, we talk about it all the time, about about the respect for law enforcement, and how politics play a big part in it, and how it seems like overwhelmingly that blue just does not respect the cops. They wanted us against them mentality, defund and this and that, all cops are racist, all this and that. But it also always seems like whenever it's a Republican regime, or whenever it's something like that, law enforcement is held to a high standard. And this is what I believe, that honestly, officers have to earn that standard. And I say overwhelmingly, I'm real positive, and I'm pretty damn sure that police officers, 99% of them, they're doing the right thing, and they deserve that respect, and they deserve that that certain, I don't know if you want to call it gravitas, or if you want to call it, they deserve, like, when you become a cop, like, the amount of training, the amount of background, the amount of mental health assessments and everything that you have to take to become that cop, it's pretty much saying, hey, you're the part of the elite, you're the cream, like, let's get it done. And it just seems like it's been flipped to, you don't trust the cop. You call them, but you don't trust them. Dennis, what's the point of calling? But I found a clip with Joe Rogan when Trump went to his podcast, and he was campaigning and stuff. And one thing that made Trump very popular with police officers and law enforcement in general is the way he backed them, and the way he wanted to give the police back their respect in more ways than one. Let's listen.
Sad what's happened, and I'll tell you what, I go to police funerals, and we went to one in Long Island. I visited the family in Long Island, a very big deal. It's so dangerous. People don't realize the car, dark windows, pull over. He's a gentleman. Please pull over. Door opens, guy comes out firing. Even if they were allowed to pull out their gun, which they're not, they can't, pull
do
out
it in time.
gun.
Yeah,
they still wouldn't have time.
It's every cop's worst nightmare.
They opened a door, and he was killed, and his partner was hurt. He was killed, and you don't even have an eighth of a second to think, and it is such a dangerous job. That in particular, think of it. You go up.
There it is. The president of the United States is telling you how it's a dangerous job. He's going to funerals where police officers are just routine traffic stops. I don't think they understand that every time we put on that uniform, we've left, we've kissed our wives, kissed our husbands, our spouses. There's a chance that that is the last time your family gets to see you.
Yeah.
You know what that does to you when you have to do that day in and day out. I don't think people understands that. And if you want to say, well, nobody asked you to do the job, well, guess what? Nobody else is doing the job. You're talking so much about illegals and who else is going to pick fruit and all this stuff. Who else is going to be police officers? You think about it in a way, like I said in my dissertation, when you sign up to be a police officer, you're signing up to leave with a mental illness, whether that be anxiety, depression, PTSD, in my case, bipolar, major depressive disorder, you name it, alcoholism, drug abuse, divorce, domestic, like you're putting all that on you because of the stressors of the job. So with that being said, when I'm not saying you have to bow to the feet of a police officer, but at the minimum, if you call a police officer, let them do their job.
No,
Let them
absolutely.
do their job.
Well, a point I'd like to make is as tragic as those assassinations were in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have the lawmakers, a lot of them who wanted to defund the police or now want police protection. And they're like in their, I've seen a couple of interviews like, well, we're just out here serving the public and we're getting killed, and I'm like, well, welcome to the club. I mean, because
Yeah.
people don't realize we lost more officers during the time when we were at war. More officers would die when you add up the total officers killed during like the Iraq and Afghanistan war than soldiers. 350 about a year, and that's on duty, militias, shooting, stab, run over, heart attacks, medical, drowning, but that's a lot of people, and you add that up for the last 25 years. I forgot what the number was. I added up. I started police counting in 1998, graduated in 99, and then I retired in 2021. And I added up during that time all the officers had been killed just as I was a cop, and there were thousands. So like I don't want to even say average 300 a year on a low number. So but 350 sometimes higher, but that's a lot of people that go to work just like I did. How many people went to work during the times that I did and were killed, didn't make it home, had the same shift as me, and they didn't make it home, or they're severely injured? Or I mean, did you, when you went to work, you're shooting, did you expect how much? It's always a possibility, but I'm gonna be in a
I had no, and it was 9/11.
Yeah.
the date was 9/11.
Yeah. And or when you were hit and almost killed and knocked unconscious,
Had no idea.
You'd be like, hey, this might be the day, and so to your point, we need to respect our people in the military, law enforcement, and now the politicians. You can't say we want to defund the police, but we need you, so we
need you. They're assassinating us. Yeah,
but we don't care. We want to take people from the street protecting you to protect us because we're scared for our safety, and we're just serving the public and we get killed. Well, that's what we do. I mean, we're public servants just like they are. They're mostly a lot of times elected officials, but they're not any more special than we are. Their life's not any more important than a rookie in training, so we're all important. All lives matter, and they need to have a little bit more respect for what we do.
I agree, and I couldn't say more. And it's funny that even hearing it in front of the President of the United States, but because it's Donald Trump, it's like it's like nobody wants, and he gets it because think about it. Even how badly they botched it. Guess what he had protecting him during his 2 assassination attempts? Law enforcement. Guess who's made up of Secret Service? Law enforcement. So I mean, it is what it is. Like I'm telling y'all, like me and Step have done this. We retired from it. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it when you're doing your job and you're honestly out here making a difference. It's nothing like it. But when you have to deal with the bullshit and the politics and people that have been elected to protect you and uphold the law are telling people to openly disrespect you, that's rough. It's rough, and
they're encouraging it.
They're encouraging the
And
disrespect.
then we've seen it with the senator who stormed the federal meeting with Pam Bondi, and then he was taken down for spectacle. And then it was yesterday, the same thing happened with a mayoral candidate in New York, and he grabbed onto a person they were trying to arrest and wouldn't let go and demanding to see the warrant. Well, I got news for people. The people we arrest, we don't have to show the warrant to. And then they gets detained, and he's yelling out, "Oh, you don't have to. You can't. You're a border patrol. You don't have authority to arrest me." And a lot of people don't realize that the arrest actually occurs at the time you take in for the magistrate. So civilians could handcuff people. We have security people do it all the time that not allowed to arrest you, but they could detain you. And that's so anyway. But there's just this total lack of respect for law enforcement, and it seems like it's coming from all one side. There's people on the right and Republicans that don't like us. But if you took a poll, I bet it would be 75% confidence on the Republican side and 50% on the blue side, on the Democrat side. But until they need us, it's like in the hood. They hate us, and then
they need us.
If they need us, we're not there in 20 seconds. Then we're like,
where you think the majority of our calls come from, people? It comes from low income urban areas. They're not calling us at the country club,
and we show up. You were in a minority area when you were in your shooting. I was in, I was going to a black guy shoots a black guy, and I didn't drive it. I could have went home. My shift was over. I went to the call.
Right. We don't drive any fast. We don't drive any slower. We get a call. We get an emergency call. We get there.
Black, white, Hispanic, Asian. We don't care.
We get there because guess what? Guess what they have? They can clock your speed. They can clock where you were going, how fast you were going, the route you took. So even if you're just doing it out of the basis of you're just a human being and you want to do the right job, let's say if you did want to take your time, all that stuff's reviewable. So they could be like, okay, it was up. You got the call for service, you got the emergency call, but your car stayed at the gas station for 10 minutes. All this stuff is clocked, people. So trust me, when you be like, what took you so long? Trust me, we're not taking our time because they will tell us, hey, you took your time. So it's just wild, man. But I just wanted to say, and let's lead into our last video. If some of those people on the left or some of those people that quote unquote wanted to fund police, if they had their way, if they can build their ultimate police force, this what it will look like.
We have the strictest fitness standards here at Gen Z PD to keep the community safe. Our test is comparable to the Navy SEALs. The test is a half-mile walk in under 30 minutes, clearing a 2-foot wall, and doing 1/2 of a push-up. So if you think you had what it takes to pass the test, come join our team.
I haven't seen that one before. That was fun. For a split second, when you put it on the screen, I was like, are you fucking kidding? I thought that was real. I was about to lose my shit, but that's hilarious. Did you see the guy in the little
in a wheelchair, in a motorized scooter? Then the blind K9 cop.
That's about what it's like now, man. I mean, you still got good cops, but some of the people are hiring stuff. I mean,
you got to be all inclusive. You got to have the best of the best. If you think that for 1 second that these recruits don't cut it,
yeah, absolutely,
you can't do it. Yeah. You can't do it.
It's not a job where you get that skin color, sexual orientation. None of that shit should matter. It should be who's.
Can you do the job?
Absolutely.
That's it. But that was a good one. When I saw that one, I was like, yo, this is perfect.
I was like, at first I would have I about stroked out. I thought that was real. I was like, all right,
Navy SEAL, half a mile walk in 30 minutes. It's just good, man. But that's all we have right now. That's the episode for today. Thank you everybody for listening. And it seems like either our shows for the past month and a half, we've been going up against the NBA, hockey, or something like that. Well, with hockey over and the NBA about to be over, we will get our Wednesdays or Thursdays back, and hopefully,
I'm surprised with NBA that you showed up.
Well, listen, my team ain't in it, and I got a job to do. And when I said we was bringing back Black and Blue Lives, I was going to really put my all into it, and I think we've done that. The numbers have showed it. The live reviews, the interactions. We thank everybody. And once again, if you want to reach myself, I'm at Real Prince Blue on all platforms, and as you can see, Step has all his right there. Insta Step 2223, TikTok. TOG 4280. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you everybody for watching, and please make sure if you want us to keep reviewing these videos, keep sending them in and giving us ideas. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody. And once again, please check, make sure you take care of your chickens and your mentals, as Marshawn Lynch says. Make sure you just make it home, and make sure if you encounter police, just do what you have to do to go home. That's both sides. And if anything is out of place, just make sure you talk to the supervisor with everything else. But in that moment, make sure you comply, make sure you do what you got to do and make it home. I get sick and tired of critiquing these videos where somebody's dying at the end of the video. So with that being said, we will see you next week. We are out of here, and everybody, please be safe. Peace out.
Yeah. Look, Black and Blue Lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, Black and Blue Lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, podcast lit. I think we got it.